Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. Often I use the term pure light. And then sometimes people tell me, but this is the opposite of darkness. But then when I use the term pure light, I don't mean the opposite of darkness. There is the light and darkness. And there is something I call pure light. And then comes the question, what is this pure light? I just happen to call that like this. It's the first expression of the mystery of existence. The first expression with its three aspects of pure consciousness, pure love, pure energy. The three together is what I call pure light. And somehow we have to find our way back to that. It's a manner of talking. We have never been separate from that. But we have forgotten, the attention is absorbed in so many things that it seems to be quite a big job to come back to that. Just out of the old habit of always going away from it. Of always being fixed and identified with so many things. That which is even prior to that. But it's so absolutely not something that we can talk about it, that we can imagine. It completely escapes all expression. But we can come back to that first expression. We can at least bring the attention in the direction and then let go and sink back to that pure light. We can do that by focusing more on consciousness, more on love, more on energy. It doesn't matter whether this or that one has a main emphasis. If you are sincere about it, the other two aspects automatically will also join in. You are that pure light. You are even prior to that. But all manifestation comes out of that. The base, the ground, that which is first, prior to time and space. We can get a notion of that. Even if we cannot understand it, we can still have a notion, catch the attention, and redirect it back to that instead of being worried about so many things all the time. Focus on consciousness. That consciousness that makes this experience possible. And relax and think back to its origin, to pure consciousness. Focus on love. Even if in the beginning it's a bit tainted with emotions becomes more and more pure in that awareness that all is connected, that nothing is really separate from that. And if you relax in that, the attention sinks back to pure love. Focus on energy, that beautiful, joyous energy that makes life manifest. We can see the manifestations of it all the time. We can feel the energy in the body. If we focus on that and relax, the attention sinks back to pure energy, the Shakti, pure prana. Whatever aspect we are pursuing, whether we really single out one or we combine them, invariably, if it is sincere, if we go deeper, the others join, and we come to that base. That base is what I call pure light. That base, that pure light, we can aim at. This we can call the Jivatma. Or we can call it Brahma. But if we call it Brahma, then that which is prior has to be called Parabrahma. Doesn't matter what we call it. Everybody feels, if we just stop a moment, there is something so totally stable, invulnerable, here, now, all the time, has ever been there, will ever be there. It's prior to time. It cannot be absent. And yet we are overlooking it all the time. Out of habit, the attention always goes everywhere, missing that magnificent source out of which it is flowing. What we need is a constant reminder until it just naturally happens. Remind us again and again. Just turn the attention back to the source. Be here now, relax in that. It's worth the trouble. There's nothing else which is in any way equally important. If we have enough of suffering, if we don't want to go down those alleys all the time, where we are invariably creating pain and suffering, this is the solution. Not trying to establish ourselves in the external world in such a way that we can feel secure. Whatever we are doing, it's never secure. There's always something that can create doubts, that can create fears. Here, now, there's that base, the pure light. And there is no fear, there is no danger. It's unmovable and yet totally dynamic, with the potential of all life and experience sprouting out of it. This is our home. Let's come home. Okay, my friends, I stop talking, just like that, and asking you, is there anyone who would like to come in? You're welcome to do so.
Hello.
Hello, Andreas.
is the pure light the same that Mahayana Buddhists like Zen and Theravada, Zen and Tibetan call emptiness?
You can say so, yes, except it's not empty, it's full to the brim.
Yeah, that's
it's empty because there is not a thing. And yet it's not nothing. For the whole total potential is there. So the Buddhists call it empty, the Vedantins call it full.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that was just a question.
Right.
Thank you.
But the emptiness is a good concept, the shunyata. If it's inspiring. For other people, the concept of fullness is more inspiring. People are different, but it's basically the same.
Yeah, I think for me, the fullness is more inspiring than the emptiness.
Yeah, yeah.
But some Buddhists stress that, yeah, it comes, yeah, it's like there's nothing there. And
Yeah.
This is, yeah, this isn't inspiring.
Yes, but the nothing simply means not a thing. It doesn't
Yeah.
really mean nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pure light. That's why I call it pure light. I like the expression. I feel it's, for me, the most inspiring way of expressing it.
Yeah, this helped me.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's
Okay.
all for that question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hario. You're welcome. Hario. Is there anybody else who would like to come? You're welcome. That's the thing with expressions. We hear a teaching, we read a teaching from this religion, from that religion, from this spiritual school, from that spiritual school. Everyone uses words. Originally, those words, they come out of something that is not explainable. It cannot be put in words, and yet words are being used to catch the attention and direct it in the good way. But then as sadhaks, we have the tendency, I want to understand the truth. And there we have the different expressions, the different concepts, the different way of putting words together. They are not really explaining reality. They're just pointing at something that cannot be explained. It's always good to remember when we read spiritual texts, they are pointers. Nothing can define reality. Nothing can define pure light. We can get a slight notion to give us the right direction, and then there is only silence. For that, it's good to remember, I cannot understand reality. You are that. And when we understand and hold on to that understanding, then we are standing under. Then we are not in the center of it. Understanding is helpful, looking at the mechanisms, understanding how we are creating problems, how we are creating barriers. That understanding is very helpful. It helps us to see the things and then work on them to let them go. but we cannot understand pure light, or shunyata, the emptiness, or the fullness, the purna of the Vedantis. You are that. It is. The spiritual teachings, they are meant to catch the attention and put it, direct it in the good direction, back to the source. They are not meant to define reality. As long as we think that if we have only a philosophy subtle enough, then we can define reality and understand. Then we stop with the concepts. And then, of course, if we stop with the concepts, we can start to fight each other. Whose teaching is better? Who is right? The Buddha said, Jesus said, the Upanishad say, Ramana Maharshi said. Don't try to understand the truth. You are the truth. But often, a spiritual teaching can be very inspiring. But what does it actually do when it is inspiring us? It helps us to turn the attention. And then we let go of all those tensions, of all those barriers that we are often creating in the mind. And in that letting go, we feel elevated. That is the inspiration that we can feel from spiritual teachings. They're pointing at reality. They don't define reality. We cannot understand reality. We cannot know reality in this sense as we know something, because there is that knower and the known, but you are that reality. Hello, Niels. You would like to
Hi,
say
Werner.
something? Hello.
Yes, it's like there's this little me, the thinking me, who thinks I am a man, who is a doctor, who has a wife, etc.,
Mhm.
and who knows that he is dead. Yes, I understand, Werner. I am dead. But that is like so stupid. I mean, that is not living from that. That is just an idea.
Right.
And I find it frustrating that I've been playing with this so long now, and still it keeps being something that little me is looking at
Right.
instead of living from it. And I see myself in sometimes I'm in a positive streak and things go well, but
Yes.
then last couple of weeks I'm not in a positive streak. I'm in a negative mood, and whatever I do, I cannot seem to escape. I try everything, like stay with the feeling, seeing that unmovable me that is not hurt by it. But if I'm really honest, I don't like it. I want to get rid of it. I want to get back to the positive things. And I see myself in my negativity doing negative things to other people.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe even the harder I try, the further I get away from it, because it's the little me that's trying. I can see that, but I have no idea how to stop the little me. So yeah, I'm not sure if I can phrase it better as a question, but that's my dilemma a bit with this.
Right. That's the difficulty for the mind to accept. We cannot really do it. And yet we have to do something. Because if we just accept I cannot do it and then forget about it, we keep on turning round and round in the same mechanisms. So if you are in a negative phase, like you have experienced the last 2 weeks, then of course it seems, where have I gotten? With all that struggling, it's still, I'm caught up in the same patterns, in the same cages, and it hasn't gotten me anywhere. But actually, the fact that you are quite aware what's going on shows that there is something different, because most of the people are a lot in negative stuff without even being aware that it is there, and make it stronger and stronger. And when you look at it and it's still there and you are a bit pissed off about it, that very feeling helps you to start to really detach from that level. But you can try. What you can do is to learn to redirect the attention. And you're doing basically self-inquiry. So the best way to redirect is to ask yourself the question, but who? What is experiencing those negative feelings? And as you have explained to me some time, that then you have the tendency to get into a intellectual mechanism.
Mind game, yes.
Yes, then once I asked you, try to combine it with the breath, the
I
inquiry.
tried that.
Yeah.
And but you know, I can see that if I'm really honest, the only outcome that my mind accepts is that the negative feeling subsides, and as long as it stays, there's some calming down, but then my mind gets distracted after a while, and I'm back again where I was. It's like an endless circle.
Mm. It's just the old habits that push us to go into it again and again. And when you are aware of it, there it seems to be a bit the struggle not to get sucked into it. So when you say that for sometimes it's subsiding, but then you whoop, let go and it's back again, there's nothing else but to start again, redirect the attention.
I know it, maybe I need to complain a little bit. I know there's nothing else to do. It's the last since I went on this journey with the Iceman, and I can see I really did a lot of changing in the last couple of months with no more alcohol. I used to smoke cannabis. I don't do it anymore. I sleep much better. I'm much more clear. And I do this cold bathing and the breathing exercise and the self-inquiry. But I see my mind a bit like a spoiled child. I expect results now.
Yes.
And the result is feeling really depressed, and that's like a bit of a I'm a bit afraid I will not keep up with all the changes I made and fall back to, because I really hate living like that. And fearing for my health, fearing, that kind of living. I've done it for a long time, and it really has exhausted me to a great level.
Right.
And maybe when I tell this to you now, I think maybe I shouldn't expect that 3 months will heal that long of a period of not doing the right thing. The right thing, but it is the right thing, because I can feel my body is much happier with what I'm doing now.
Yes.
And what I can also see, I was suppressing so much emotion.
Yeah.
And now I'm talking to people and I start feeling annoyed out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then I realized this is what I've been pushing down for a long time.
Right.
Just my gut feeling of I don't like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not a problem not to like people, but the feeling itself is a problem. It's a bit difficult to let it come in and accept it and not to go into the story.
Right. Then, but if you have then that awareness, if you are in the story and forget, then you cannot do anything. But when you remember, then you can leave the feeling without trying to suppress it or fight it, and just watch what it is doing right now. And instead of fighting, learn to relax with it. Then the whole flavor is also changing. As long as you're fighting, then it's always a struggle, and you get exhausted. But if you learn to observe and see what the emotions are doing, even those emotions we feel they are unpleasant, I don't want them, but then you learn to relax. You consciously relax your legs, relax your feet, you relax your arms, relax your whole body, and then you start to mentally, energetically relax, and then suddenly it's not such a big deal anymore.
I think I'm doing something else. I'm like watching the feeling, and then I try to see that the one watching the feeling is not this person thinking, and it's another mental step. And what you're saying now is much more physical, like on purpose relaxing your muscles, on purpose breathing deeply.
Yes.
I could try that more.
Right, because you have the tendency then to get lost in the mind and make philosophies about it.
And what I find difficult, that's another problem I have with it. This morning I was in a very negative mood when I got up, and I don't want to get into the content of it because it's a bit. My wife will not like that. But
yeah,
then, then I went downstairs, and instead of quarreling with my wife, I sat down and I thought, okay, no quarreling. That's not the way you want. You just sit with the feeling. And I noticed that after a while, she was, because I left angry from the room, she was like, okay, then you're not coming, then I am coming. And the time was up. Because as soon as I saw her, my anger was back.
yeah,
So, and I was back into the story. So life sometimes doesn't give you the space just to sit with it until it's over. And I mean, you cannot walk away all the time and say, okay, no, I'm not going to do my job. I will walk for a while. No, I'm not going to go in a conversation. I will I will walk for a while. I mean, I find it very hard if this feeling is still so strong to be friendly again to other people, and I cannot do that job, stay with the feeling, if there is somebody asking me questions and around me.
yes, sure. You can also not plan life situations like this that they after that smoothly work out the way you would like them. Maybe it's possible that in such a situation you could say, look, I'm struggling with myself. Can I have a bit more time? Because I'm busy with trying to do to get clear and hold of myself, if possible, and otherwise try to be as alert as you can in the midst of whatever is coming. And
Yes,
also
and if
do
I'm
that.
honest, that sounds very reasonable, and I could do that. And if I'm honest, I'm also a bit addicted to lashing out. I
Yeah,
mean, it feels like it helps to get rid of the feeling, while it actually makes it worse.
makes it worse, it hurts people, and then of course it comes back again. Lashing out is usually not the solution.
But it yeah, I can say it really is similar to wanting cannabis or wanting alcohol, or it's very seductive to go into the lashing out.
Right.
I mean, it's much easier than not to do it.
Yes. If the habit is there, it's much easier. Right. And of course, habits are addictions. It's not only alcohol or cannabis that are addictions, but emotions are also addictions. Emotions that compulsory come and push us into actions are also addictions, and they can be treated like addictions.
Yes, I noticed with the cannabis and the alcohol is just saying radically no.
Mhm.
So I guess I should do the same with this addiction, like radically no, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Because I've had enough of it. I'm really fed up with acting like a little spoiled child that cannot hold his ground and stay with what is his share. Because I've acted a little bit like I'm the only one having these troubles, but and I am not stupid. I can see the whole world is acting with this kind of things.
Mm.
I mean,
Try a simple help. What I had said before, when you're yourself busy with the feelings, but if you have somehow the clarity to remember in a situation where there is tension and maybe angry attacks, that you just breathe and you relax your legs. If you somehow get around of doing that, you will see it's amazing how the whole experience of the situation is changing. I remember one man here in a satsang already 20 years ago. I was telling him that, and he said, "Oh, come on, I'm relaxing the legs." But I said, try just when you are angry, try to remember. And he came back so surprised and said, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was magical. Like, it just works. If instead of going into the old addictions, in the old grooves, in the habits, and do what we always done, just redirect the attention and breathe and relax your legs. And it's like magically the whole experience can change, and then the clarity comes and you are capable of talking more reasonable.
I think I already tried the breathing at my job, and already there I was impressed that just taking 5 deep breaths
Yes.
can put a lot of stress down. So I'll add this one.
Yes.
And the problem is to remember it really.
That's the thing.
To become aware in the situation. You know, many people who I've asked a lot of people for help with my anger, and like 9 out of 10 people say count to 10.
Yeah.
And that's the worst advice, because if I could remember that, I would have done that myself. I mean,
Right.
it's like the space that you normally have to think and feel becomes so narrow. There is almost no room for anything else but that.
Yeah. But even if
it's like your
it
mind becomes
happens,
a ball
yeah.
that goes really tight into itself. So there's no actual energy to do anything but that.
But even if it happens, even in the situation, you lose it. What is usually happening that after that it sticks to you. We have the tendency, we churn it over and over and keep on feeding that anger, keep on, I'm right, they are wrong, and all the arguments. And then even if you have not remembered in the situation, then eventually you remember when that is happening, and there you start to work on it. And if you consequently do so, then the tendency is that you catch yourself earlier and earlier, and eventually you may, in the midst of the situation, be capable of doing so.
Yes, I can see that's a bit of my perfectionism. I cannot accept that I cannot do it right away, but you have to do it with little steps.
Yes. Well,
I would, this is again that if I'm honest, I would like to kick anger completely out of my life, and I would even like to do it with anger.
yes.
Like here, anger, I'll grab you and throw you out of my life, but it doesn't work like that.
I guess I have news for you. as long as you are appearing in a human form, all the range of emotions is there as a potential. And basically, there is nothing wrong. It's simply that they have gone totally out of proportion. And if we learn to detach from that level, then those emotions, they are not a problem. Even anger is then stops to be a problem. It can be channeled and directed in such a way that even anger can become something creative instead of destructive.
That will happen when you learn how to harness that energy, or how?
When you learn, not first step is to see it, and then the second step is to detach by observing, by not being overwhelmed by the current. And then once you are capable of observing and learning, instead of fighting with it, to relax in it, then it starts to arrange itself, and each one will find their own flavor how to deal with it.
So really, instead of being the director of the movie, I'm more like a dompteur who has to give the direction for the lions, but they will arrange themselves by themselves.
Right.
Yes, and of course, because the director of the movie, that is who I'm all the time trying to be, with the thinking.
Right, but as long as I, as a person, try to be that director, it doesn't work.
I noticed.
For the person is a figure in the movie, is a character in the movie, but you are prior to that person.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, in the situation when there is the dealing with the emotions, I don't think it's very helpful you go into analyzing person or not person. You just watch the experience. And if you have that presence of consciously breathing and relaxing your legs, you will see how the experience changes and how you get more of a detachment, more of a healthy distance from it.
I'm going to try it this week or the coming weeks, and I will report back how that works.
You're welcome. I'm curious what you will report.
Thank you. Let's leave it at this.
Yes, right. Let's leave it
Thank
at
you.
this.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? Anybody is welcome. Andreas is back. Hello.
Hello. My question is about that I'm really reluctant to practice in daily life. Mm-hmm. It's not that I don't want to, but there's a very strong tendency in me to daydream, let's call it like that. And yeah, in every morning I meditate for an hour or a little less, and then yeah, I do my daily chores, start my daily chores, and I dream away very quickly. And I find it, I really don't like to come back to the moment. But sometimes I try to, like yesterday I walked, but it's still, yeah, and I always find it boring.
Boring, yeah.
Yeah.
You find your mind games, your mind dreams much more interesting, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
What to do about that?
Right. If you keep on doing it, and if you learn to relax in being in the present, then more and more you will start to experience a sense of completion in it, a sense of joyousness, of simply existing, not joyous because of this, joyous because of that, but just becoming aware that there is a joyousness in existence. And the more you experience that, the more your attitude will reverse, that this is actually being alive, and all these mind dreams and all that becomes more and more boring.
I think one of my problems is that I have a chronic sinusitis, like the nose is always stuffed.
Yeah.
Close, yeah. And it, a lot of times that doesn't feel let's say like last week I was sick the whole week. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had like corona and I was in something else, and my body doesn't feel well at all, and then I don't like to go to the moment at all. But not in my daily life. It's a lot of times it's a little bit subtler. You know, it's not like the present moment doesn't feel good in a way. Like when it feels good, like when the sun is shining and my body feels well, then I don't mind going into the moment. But if it's raining and it's I'm feeling kind of low, then it's like I don't want to go there. I just go in my head and
Right.
and do some mind games, and then I don't like to do daily chores, and because they are boring to my mind. Any advice about further advice?
Well, keep on observing, and if you see how repetitive these daydreams are, how actually it's always the same stories with a little new flavor, with a little new change in it, but it's totally repetitive. And if we see that, then okay, we can produce little kicks with the emotions that we are invoking by daydreaming, but they come, they go, they are so fleeting. Just when, even if you are reluctant, even if the present moment is not a pleasant moment, if you bring the attention to the present and then instead of resisting or fighting, that you learn to really relax in it, then gradually your experience of it will change. So I'm not saying you should now grind your teeth and with a lot of willpower bring your attention back all the time, but whenever you remember, bring it back in a playful mood, not in a mood of doing a duty that basically I don't want to do. And if you can bring that playful mood in it, already there is less resistance. And if you learn then to really relax in it, more and more, I promise you, the more and more a feeling of fulfillment is there. It's not something that is boring, something that I don't like. It's just if we get stuck on the most superficial level, that the body doesn't feel so well, it's raining, I don't like the situation. If we get stuck on that level, then comes all the resistance. But if you can let go and think deeper, then you become aware, oh, you are way prior to all those not like all those feelings, not liking the moment. And there is a joyousness in it. There is a sense of being alive much stronger than when we, in a way, try to escape from the direct confrontation by going into mind games. We can feel a little bit alive with making all, creating all kinds of scenarios in the mind, because all kinds of emotions come along with it. They feel somewhat alive, but if you can go through that and come more back to yourself, gradually you become aware that you are much more alive here now. If we are letting go of the resistance of simply being and not holding on to defining ourselves by being our usual self that has mind games, but come back to that sense of presence and learn to relax in it, then more and more you will become aware there is a joyousness in it, a sense of fulfillment that goes way beyond whatever our mind games can possibly bring us.
It doesn't feel that I'm having an access in my daily life to this feeling of fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I'm doing, maybe if I have practiced in a meditation retreat for a long time, then it feels I'm very centered and enjoying like simple chores. But other than that, I cannot really sense a deep fulfillment.
Just be here now with that sense of presence. And then don't expect this or that to happen. Don't expect also the sense of fulfillment to happen. Just be with it and let go instead of struggling with it. Let go, relax. And then slowly it may just start to bubble up all by itself.
Okay, I try.
You're welcome to do so.
Can I add on an extra question that just occurred to me? But when I meditate, I mean, my legs are always a little bit like in a stretch.
Yeah.
And I try to relax them.
Yeah.
But it's not completely possible. I mean,
yeah.
Is that the way to relax them as much as possible, or should I take a different position?
I don't think that changing the position would change a lot. It would be the same again after a moment. So relax as good as you can, and if it's getting too uncomfortable, then okay, you stretch them out, wait for some time and come back. But otherwise, even if you cannot completely relax, if you give the impulse to relax as good as you can, then at least the pain is not increasing.
I mean, are there two different kinds of like I mean, kind of the stretch feels okay. Like when I'm sitting cross-legged, then yeah, a little bit of the stretch is okay. And I can see that besides that, there is a tension that I can relax.
Mm-hmm.
And this is helpful. And but the main stretch, because my muscles in the upper legs are not flexible enough, yeah, that remains, but it's not a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's as far as I can explain it.
Right. You just don't give way immediately, but don't torture yourself.
Okay.
If it's necessary to stretch out your legs or get up and walk a bit and sit down again, then you can accept, okay, and then try to be meditative when doing that. Like many real heavy duty meditation schools, they do that. They sit for some time, then they get up, walk, and then they sit for some time. And if you feel that is necessary, then do so. But if you can, just relax, then it may also happen that after some time, whatever tension or pain is there disappears for some time, and then after some time it may come back again.
Yeah, I just was wondering that maybe I should try something completely different, that like lying down and meditating, because in the sitting in the cross-leg position, I can never really it's very rare that I can completely relax my legs.
Mm-hmm.
There's no tension in it at all.
Well, people are different. You have been meditating for a long time now with crossed legs.
Yeah.
So I think it's helping you to keep an alertness. Lying down, meditating is certainly a possibility. The tendency is just to drift off much easier into the mental dreams, into the daydreams, and then drift off to sleep. If you feel like, you can experiment that part-time you are meditating cross legs, part-time you are meditating lying down, but I wouldn't give up the cross leg meditation totally, because basically you are used to it. So it's not total torture for you. For some people it would be, and then that's better not to torture themselves. But I mean, you can deal with it. It's just getting sometimes uncomfortable. And dealing with the uncomfortable is also a good exercise to learn to deal with it in such a way that you are not getting sort of pulled too much into the emotion of the discomfort.
Yeah, my tendency is always, when it gets uncomfortable, I start daydreaming.
Yeah, like escaping in that way.
Okay.
Feel the tensions. Don't try to avoid them. Feel the tensions, feel the pain, and relax. And come back to your meditation, what you are doing in your meditation. And then it may also just after some time disappear for a period again. Or if it's not disappearing, you can deal with it without having to escape. And then if it's getting too much, then do something about it. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay?
Okay. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come in?
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Nelly.
I want to say thank you for your positive attitude. It helps me so much and inspires me, and helps me to deal with some situations more easy. And I now I see that I feel in myself more this causeless joy.
Mm.
Yeah, and now I have repaired my mother's flat, and I honestly I didn't want to start it. It was so I thought it's so hard for me. I didn't want to give time to it.
Yeah.
And so my time and efforts, but at last I decided to do this. And of course there are some moments, some difficulties, and not everything goes as I expected, but essentially I see that it's not so important, and I learn to let go all of these things. And in spite of that I sometimes have to arrange something, and some arrangements don't fulfill by some workers, and my delivery don't come in time, and so I sometimes have to talk even strict with them to get what is necessary. But I see that inside me there is someone who looks at it and smiles and and feels joy and fun that this is not so serious.
Great.
Even if I play this role of this customer who books something.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes, it's really amazing, and it's just a game. Yes, it's a good like experience for me to see it.
Yes, so wonderful. Great that you were, and you see that actually the most difficult part in doing things that one is not too enthusiastic doing is the mental resistance. And if we stop doing that, then we just go about it step after step, and then when it's done, it's done. Huh?
Yes, yes, it is. It's not so frightened as it was before. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yes. Thank you, Werner. Even if I see satsangs, they really inspire me, and yes, and motivate me in my meditations. And in my meditations, sometimes I see it as more easy to relax and to let go. But sometimes my mind is more agitated, and it is difficult. Like yesterday, it was very difficult to relax. So many thoughts, how to deal with this, with that, to arrange this. Yes, yes, it is different. Different, yeah. But today I feel more joy and easy. Yeah.
It will go like this, especially if externally suddenly you have a lot of different things to do. The tendency is then to think about it all the time. But at least then you, even if you are not capable of totally detaching and relaxing, at least you see what's happening instead of unconsciously going on and on and strengthening in that way those habits. When you see it's happening, then you don't strengthen the habit, even if you are not so happy that it's still happening. And then relax as good as you can. The very attempt is already also what counts.
Yes. Thank you very much for inspiration and support. Yeah.
You are welcome. Continue like
Hari Om.
this. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Also, what we before have been talking with Niels, those emotions we don't want, those emotions we know if I let them come, if I let them take over, it's becoming painful, it's becoming destructive. We don't have to try to erase those emotions. They are there as a potential, and we cannot somehow get rid of the tendency of that possibility. All these emotions, they can just pop up. But we can learn whatever, whether they are pleasant emotions or unpleasant emotions. That we don't take them so serious, that we don't get into resistance, that we don't start a fight with them. For a moment, sometimes it may be necessary, put the breakers, control, but then relax. Watch what they are doing and relax. And the more we are capable of doing so, the less emotions become an enemy. And then actually, even those emotions that have had the tendency to push us into destructive or negative actions, they stop being destructive or negative. They are just having their own special flavor. We can observe that they can be even energizing our system. And they come, they are there for some time, they go without leaving a trace, without struggle. And then the emotions are all right. Sometimes they are positive emotions, sometimes they are negative emotions. But even the negative emotions are not more enemies if they are not overwhelming us and pull us into things that we don't want to do. And so what Nelly just said now, more and more, when things come up and basically out of old habit, oh, I don't like to do that, there is maybe a resistance. But if we can get around and see that and let go of that resistance, then suddenly even those things that we don't like to do don't seem so terrible anymore. We simply do them, they come, we deal with them, they go. And the whole becomes more and more playful, no matter what is happening, without taking ourselves as a person so serious, without taking the circumstances so serious. I've seen a camera lighting up. Was there somebody who wanted to come in? You're welcome. Did you try to come in, Vikas? I think it doesn't work quite. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome.
Hello, Werner.
Hello? Hello, Dayal.
I want to ask about Tibetan Book of Death.
Yes.
You know, Bordo Todol.
Yeah.
It's about 40 days time after the death. And I was reading this book many years ago, and actually I believe in it. And I was trying to feel that it's happening with the people who die, my relatives, or was thinking what will happen with me after this. But recently I read a book of Theravada Buddhism, and they speak very different way. They said after that, usually normally person reincarnate immediately in a second into the heaven or to the hell or to the another human body, but only if the person reincarnate into hungry host world. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. You understand me? Then it will be as Tibetan Book of Death experience happening. They will stay somewhere on the earth, as they can see other people, relatives. They can stay near the house where they was living, and this 40-day experience may happening. But otherwise, by Theravada teaching, people reincarnate immediately to another world.
Yes.
So, and
which one is
now,
true?
Yes, I argumented with my friend who is strictly for Bordotodol. So, and why such different teachings happening, if you can tell anything.
Yes. I mean, the Bordotodol, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, is mainly for Tibetans. They live in that culture, they believe that way, and if they live and believe that way, they will also die that way. But if you don't live and believe that way, you may also die very differently. It is not like it's like this or it's like that. The possibility how that process goes can be very, very different. So it's very nice of you that you have been doing that for your friends. But if they didn't have already that concept of that gradual process on this 49 days, huh? It's, I think.
Yes, 49, right.
Right.
49, yes.
49 days doing all those rituals. If they have had that concept and they believed in it and it was strong enough, then it may also happen to them in that way. But maybe they are already long gone. You're still doing your ritual. If it has helped you to let them go and done good to you, then it was a good thing to do. But you cannot pick out one school and say their concept of how we are living the world and what exactly is happening, that is the right way and the others are wrong. It may also happen very, very different from what all they tell you. People who don't have much of a structure and strict concept what is happening, it may happen very differently.
Okay.
If you
Yes,
like,
I was thinking,
if you feel like you have an affinity for the part of it all, and it gives you like a depth to connect with it and to practice it when somebody dies, you can very well do that without now being sure that that person is still there or not. That being to whom you are sending something positive is still somewhere and it will reach.
also I thinking about myself. That means probably I will not have time after death to improve my reincarnation.
I
So
see.
better to be prepared in this life.
That, of course, is better, that we're using this lifetime as an opportunity to become so conscious that after that, when you get out, it's like going from one room into another.
Okay, thank you, Werner. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om. You know, we are not ever dying. This is a dream-like experience. It's a special dream because we dream into a matrix where so many others also dream into. So we are having all this interaction, but then at a certain point we just stop projecting into this dream, and that's it. How the process is going, it depends also how much we are still attached, fixated on I am this person. It's better to learn to detach when we are here now, in this human form, alive. And in a way, in that way, we are already dying. And the more we are capable of dying, of letting go of that attachment to this person, the more actually we are alive, with intensity, with joyousness, with beauty and creativity. I want to see quick what Vika has written. So the first question he writes here is how to deal with addictions. And as I said before to Neil, addictions are not simply what is usually called addictions. can be addicted to heavy stuff like heroin, can be addicted to not heavy stuff like cannabis, can be addicted just to our tea in the morning. But actually, nearly everybody is an addict, because these mental habits are also addictions. It's not even just on the mental level, but our mental responses have different physical responses. On a certain emotion is producing in the body through the glands different peptides that do another thing in the body than another emotion. And so it's also not only on the emotional mental level an addiction, our addiction to certain emotions, but it's becoming even also a physical addiction, that the body somehow craves to have the same vibe again. Even strangely, addictions that one doesn't like, if one slips into those again and again, there is still that pull that we are doing it again. Like an addict who needs the substance. How to counteract the addictions? First, we have to become aware. I mean, if somebody takes a substance, he is very much aware that that addiction is there. But these emotional addictions, most of the people are not even aware that actually the things are repeating over and over. That are the patterns, the emotional patterns, and when we are not alert, then they are set in place quite early in the life, and the rest of the life is just a repetition, repeating the same reactions, the same actions, the same emotions, the same responses, the same stories over and over and over again till the end of the life. And how can we counteract that? By becoming alert, by learning not to be fixated on our thoughts and emotions or the external situations and the sense perceptions, but to become aware of that which makes the experience possible. Everything that turns your attention back to yourself, to the source, to that timelessness of the now, helps you to become more alert. And in that increased alertness, there is increased clarity, because we start to see the mechanisms, start to see things happening over and over again that we were not even aware that they are there before. And then in that increased clarity, then there we can decide, okay, certain things, they are fine, I don't mind, they can stay there, but certain things, they invariably cause pain, cause suffering, are destructive, and I want to get rid of those mechanisms. And at the base is that intent, that decision. I want to free myself. And then even in spite of that decision, that I don't want to fall in the trap of the old patterns, the situations come, and just from the momentum of the habit, bang, we go again. Don't be disheartened when that is happening, because the habit has its own power, has its own momentum. But the very fact that you see it, you are not strengthening it. And even if in the situation you slip, then after that, when it's still roaming in the mind and echoing, as I said to Niels before, then sooner or later, then you become aware, got me again completely there, and I'm still holding on to, I'm still feeding the emotions, I'm still feeding the habits, and there, becoming aware, at that time, you can take that step back and observe it, not more be a victim in the midst of it. And by observing, you see what it is doing to you, to your experience right now. And start totally physical. See what it is doing to your body. See how those emotions affecting our physical experience. And learn, instead of holding on to the tensions, learn to relax those. And if you are physically relaxing, it's much easier to relax energetically. And if you are physically and energetically relaxing, it's much easier to relax mentally and emotionally, intellectually. That's how we counteract the addiction. First, we have to be aware of them, that they are there. Once they are, we become aware, the more we are alert, the more we are awake. We see what's going on. And the more we see what's going on, we have the possibility to decide, no, I don't want to feed that anymore. The decision has to come from us. Then the habit may overwhelm us and pull us in it. Then you see, uh-oh, got me again. Do again the job, see what it is doing, learn to relax and renew the decision even stronger. Okay, got me again, but that intent is there. I want to free myself from that addiction of acting destructively. And if we firm with it and go about it consequently, even strong habits, they are getting weaker and weaker, and eventually they have no more power over our actions in the present. And now there was a second question from Vikas about the sleeping state, the dreaming state, and the waking state, the dreaming state, and the deep sleep state, which are the three states that are usually experienced. And then the turiya, the fourth state. What is that fourth state? Actually, the turiya, is not really a state, but is that which is there all the time. Simply, we are not quite aware of it. There is that usual waking state where we are acting as a person, then we go to sleep and have our dreams and dream all kinds of scenarios, and then we are being knocked out in the deep sleep, and when we wake up, there is a vague memory how we felt good in the deep sleep. But throughout all this, there is that base, that which I called the pure light, that which is pure consciousness, pure love, pure energy. And if we become aware of that, then traditionally in India, it's called the fourth state, the turiya state. But actually, it's not the state of mind like waking, dreaming, or sleeping states. These are states of mind. But the turiya is there all the time, that pure expression of reality that is first. Experiencing the fourth state means simply learning to detach from the other three states, and then we become aware it has been there all the time. It's not a new mental state, that fourth state. It's not that we have to train ourselves to be capable of push ourselves in that fourth state. The fourth state is here. It's that which makes the experience possible. Also, those three mental states, the waking, the dreaming, and the deep sleep state. Okay, then I drop also that subject. And if anyone would like to come in, we can take a little more time. There is another question there. You're welcome, because just wrote these texts. All right. Just remember, this is the key, that we remember to look in the right direction. That we don't simply do some spiritual practice every day in the morning and then forget all about it, but bring that attitude as good as you can in the daily life. Remember to just catch the attention that wants to go all over the place and bring it back to the simple sense of presence, in that timelessness of the present, and relax and wait and see what happens. As Andrea said, it can look boring for the mind, but if we are not holding on to that mental level, the more we are capable to relax in that, the more we become aware how that beauty and joyousness of existence is there all the time, and more starts to bubble up, come to the surface, to be consciously experienced. I wish you all well. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.